Canine Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Greubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists. It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Welcome back to the Canine Detection Collaborative. My name is Crystal Wing, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Stacy Barnett.
Hello.
And Robin Greubel.
Howdy.
So I can make a lot of corny jokes about time, but I'll save it.
Just wait till later. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring some in probably. I'm queen of dad jokes.
Yeah.
But how about we talk about time? So it was a suggestion from one of our listeners, and
Thank you, listener.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We like suggestions. If you have suggestions, keep sending them to us.
Yes.
We like that.
Yeah, it was I think your Facebook Messenger, maybe Insta post. I don't know. I'm not very good at the Insta thing. But what I really liked about this was we already talked about, or were we thinking about talking about certifications and competitions and the pressure of time, but also understanding there's time on your side. And I really felt that here a couple of weeks ago when we did our certification for cadaver work. And it was like, okay, I remember sitting there and we had Radish and I had a half acre buried, and you have 30 minutes to complete it. And about 8 minutes, we had gone through the area, and I took a knee with her and I talked to her for a second and said, okay, sweet girl, you've done a nice job. You've told me there's nothing here, but I still have all of this time. But then also thinking, okay, you have 2 more half acre burieds. You still have 3 2-acre areas. You still have an urban area. So if you took all the time for all of the things and you used your full time,
you wouldn't have a dog.
It'd be 5 hours of nose time. Yeah. And it's 90 degrees outside. And so on the day we did I think on the buried day, it was toward the end of the day, and it was warmer. And so it was really, you have to be smart about using your dog's nose. And I just looked at her and I said, all right, I'm going to trust you. And I looked to the official and said, okay, we're going to call this done. And she's like, okay. And then of course, Robin is the, are you like an assistant official? Is that because you're,
I was apprenticing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I look at Robin too, and she just has this blank face. You have the best officiating face I think I've ever seen. You're always so warm and smiling and just so I want to, have mentor and fun and friend. And no, on competition day or on certification day, you are just stone cold. I'm like, ooh, I'm not looking at her again.
I'm kind of trying to picture this in my head, and I'm getting a scary image. And
you're correct.
I go blank. I give no visual affect at nothing.
That sounds terrifying.
It reminds me of my interview that I had for when I was getting a teaching job 20 years ago, and the lady scared me. I mean, terrified me because there was no affect. I'm cracking funny jokes and I'm laughing at myself, and she is just stone cold. I'm like, okay.
It's going to be one of those.
The time thing. So that time thing, because Nico is a really, really fast dog.
Yeah.
And so, I run into the problem of, I think I've covered my area because he's I've asked him to go wherever he's supposed to go. I've asked him to figure something out, and he's like, I can figure it out. I got it. And, a long search for him in a 2-acre area right now is 10 minutes.
Yep.
And when you do have an hour to finish your area, you're just like, yeah. or the fact that 3 to 5 minutes into a buried area, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to call it. And that's when it flips into, I'm going to use my search strategy. Even though I think you've covered everything, I am now going to thoroughly cover my area twice just to make sure I didn't miss anything, but know how to balance it on the other side of not pushing your dog to the point where it's going to throw a false.
Yeah. So I have kind of a similar situation, but different. Similar, but different. Powder, right? Super, super fast dog. She's a rocket. physically, and she searches really fast, and she's really gotten very, very good at making very good, fast, appropriate decisions. And I go through a search area and she'll find stuff. And I found, this is my problem at Elite, where then I would just keep searching and we wouldn't be finding anything else. And I was finding that for me, the challenge for me was learning how to call it sooner, because for us, time is going to really come into our final standings. So it behooves us to not use all of our time if we can avoid it. So that when you have a fast dog, like sometimes you're like, well, we found all this, but now we have all this leftover time. What do we do with it? Or we can be in a situation where we have a fast dog and we're still under a crunch, depending upon the type of search that we're under. Like maybe everybody's going to be under a crunch, and it's just because there's time pressure and then there's the speed of the dog. Is just sometimes two very, very different things, two very different concepts.
For points and placement, can you explain the importance of? Is it more important to finish fast or to find all of the hides, or like how does the point and rankings work for that at different levels?
And it's gonna vary based on the level, right? So at the lower levels, time, honestly, I tell my students, don't even think about the time. Like at the lower levels, if your dog is well trained, you should have enough time to find all the hides. So at that point, like even if I'm competing at the lower levels with a new dog, like I don't really pay attention to the time. I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna work my dog. And it's more important that you find all the hides. I find that a lot of people at the lower levels, they get so into wanting to try to do really well in terms of placement, because the placement is first, like, have you found the hide? And then how fast are you is kind of secondary, that they're trying to speed that up to get the placement, and they end up making mistakes. So they're trying to go for the ribbon and they make mistakes and then they don't pass. So that's a little bit of an issue at the lower levels. When you get into the unknown number of hides. So at like NW3 is kind of like when you start getting into unknown number, there you still have to find everything. Like you're not going to title unless you find everything. But once you get out of NW3, now you're at the upper levels and you're at Elite and you're at Summit. It is at Elite. I mean, conceivably you could find all the hides. It's rare. I mean, Powder's done it a couple times, but it's actually really, really rare for dogs to find all the hides in the trial. So you want to find as many hides as you can. And at those levels, I think less about the time. I want the points, but I don't want to waste my time either. I guess for me, I'm just looking at not wasting my time. At those levels, the time pressure is, this is the amount of time you have to cover your search area. So you have to make strategic searching decisions. That's the time pressure. It's what decisions are you going to make and how are you going to handle so that you can effectively cover and be confident enough in calling finish. Or if you have a situation where you actually know where the hides are, you have to actually modify your search strategy to accommodate that. And there are some situations where you've got a ridiculously short amount of time. We've had that at Summit, where it's kind of like, and nobody's going to find all the hides potentially in that time frame, but you're going to try. I had to search the inside, outside of a bus, a search area, plus I think we had 3 oil tanker trucks, wreckage in the search area. We had 2.5 minutes.
Wow.
You were flying.
And yes, and we knew there were 3 hides.
Right.
We found 2. And Brava was in odor for a third. Nobody found a third hide, but she found a hide inside the bus and then in the wreckage. And so it's one of those things where that's time pressure. You want to talk about time pressure? That's time pressure. But at the same time, it's sometimes we have, an 8-minute or a 7-minute search where it's still pressure, but it's pressure in covering your search area because they stretch you in different ways, I guess is what I'm trying to say at the upper levels. So at the lower levels, it's a little bit more straightforward. At the upper levels,
Time is one of those things where, we talk about time where we use it as an added pressure on the handler to create handler stress and bias.
Yeah.
That's one. When we start thinking about nose time with the dogs, how long is the dog searching before it runs into odor? That's another thing.
Yeah.
And we get so wrapped up a lot in I know the competition world is do it fast.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where I'm like, if we have effective and efficient searching,
then you're going to be fast.
Then you're going to be fast.
Have it effective and efficient. You're going to be effective and efficient.
Yes.
You're going to be as fast as you can be.
Right. And that goes back to the episode we did on dog directed searching, which is not necessarily efficient.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's not.
Right.
Not
and so, but the added time pressure, I mean, it was excruciating watching Crystal in one of her areas. For her,
you're going to bring this up. Huh?
I am. You're going
to air this out, aren't you?
I am. I'm so
better.
Throwing you under the bus.
It was bad.
It was really bad, but it also comes down to the result of, Crystal, this was your first certification with your dog,
and she passed.
She passed. It was your first. I believe it was your first cadaver dog certification ever.
Yep.
Which is significantly different than a competition type of feel. And she just had to say the words, I'm calling that the aid is here.
And I understood that, but I didn't. Because I thought that I had said that, and then I didn't say exactly those words. So then I was like, okay.
We started having questions, and we started asking her questions. And then she went back to work instead of saying the words.
And so then I thought that I'd failed, because I was like, oh, well, I called it and it wasn't there. So, and you can't have any misses. So on this test, there's 0 mistakes.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, well, do I keep going then? They're like, yeah. Okay, question mark. Oh, yeah. So then Sally had to come over and say, okay, so where do you think it is? I'm like, well, I said it's right over there. It's like, well, where? So I had to narrow it down. It's like, well, you call it there. I'm like, yeah, I said it's there. Where is it?
Will you say the words? And just those, will you say the words of, I am calling that the training aid is located here.
That's commitment.
And it's commitment. And it's also on, just like you guys calling finish on a blank area. Yeah. I mean, that's something that, you get this little heart palpitation. You're like,
you do, like you get a little throw up in the back of your throat.
Yeah. You're like, oh no. Yeah. And so, that's one of those things that when we start thinking about how to add pressure into our training scenarios is put a time constraint on it.
Yeah.
So that.
But see, I think I naturally do that anyway, because I always feel badly that I'm taking other people's time. And so that's something that I have to work on. And I know Nancy's the same way. I train with her a lot, and it's annoying when she does it, but then I turn around and do the exact same thing. And,
I've done the same thing.
And I annoy other people when I do it, and I recognize it, and I go, okay, stop. I don't like taking time. I don't like that people are having to wait on me. And especially during that certification, we had 45 minutes for urban. I took, I think, 38.
Yes.
And it was painful. Like I should have been done in less than 10, because she found both things in less than 10. But I kept saying, I don't know, this is hard. And I kept making all these stupid choices. And I mean, the dog was great. The dog was fantastic. Radish did her job, and she did it beautifully. But then I'm sitting there feeling terrible that I'm taking all this time of everybody that's standing there and watching and waiting. And, it's like, oh, that was
could
so
be
hard
sitting down and doing all of the, we have that whole narrative that goes on in our head. And I even think about this with, setting up hides. We get impatient when we set up a hide, And our dog doesn't solve it in 3 minutes. And, we forget that there's all of this other stuff that we should be training for, like nose time and, oh, gee, we could work on these other things. But we get on that whole, oh my God, their dog found it in 30 seconds. Why is mine taking 5 minutes to find his hide? And
when you run multiple dogs and one takes 30 seconds, the other one, you're like, okay, hello, mountain meet molehill.
Yes. Yeah. And I a lot of time I get, well, why did it take him so long to find this thing? I'm like, well,
hello, this 5-minute search and your sister took like 45 seconds. Like, what's going on here? But yeah.
And so the question then becomes, why do we always feel like we have to rush it?
Yeah.
And the whole concept of, and I think that's one of the valuable things about going places. And I realize that when students come to me, what they actually want is thoughtfully well laid out problems that it may take them a half an hour to figure out and work with their dog.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't, they're excited. And I'm frustrated because I'm like, well, I didn't make that hard enough. But it also can show some really nice, it may not show holes. What it may show is that it's a really nice working team that solves what I thought was going to be a hard problem in 3 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, well, then we're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You made me just think about something you said. It made me think about, why are we so aware of our time that we're taking from others? So I don't think that people are actively doing something to make me feel like I'm taking too much time.
It's all internally. That's all internal.
It's internal.
And, right.
I do the same thing.
So then it makes me wonder, where does that come from?
Because taking time from other people is being selfish.
I don't know. It's just interesting.
I don't know.
I think it's some of the constructs in which we are raised and told how to conduct ourselves, that, we're supposed to just get stuff done. So we can't inconvenience anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw Nancy under the bus again because she's not here to defend herself. But
poor Nancy.
I know, I love her to death. She is ready for an FH, and I am encouraging her so much. It's in IGP Sport. It's tracking, and it's this amazing track that's really long, and it's lots of articles and acute turns, and these curves and all these things. And there's a trial coming up. And she's like, yeah, I think I might go. And I'm like, yeah, I encourage you. And she goes, well, no, never mind, because that takes a lot of time and I don't want everybody having to wait on me. And then it throws the whole trial off. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because to do it, it has to age, for 3 hours, and you have to, so it is a lot of time on the club, and it puts the competition side of the obedience and the protection and all of that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, don't do the thing because of worried about other people's time.
Yeah. Well,
especially for a trial.
With a trial, it's kind of like you should feel like, this is my time.
You're paying for that. Right.
Yeah. This is my time. I entered. This is my time.
Right. And this is one of the things that I, with certifications, when people register for certifications, I don't get mad at you if you pass or fail, because when I've set up the certification, I've allotted the time for you to take the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's expected. If you take less, that's like, yay, you're giving me time back. But I expect people to take their full allotted time, because that's how the certification is written. And,
I don't know. I thought you guys were going to beat me. So I
we were
with what you're saying.
Yeah, but I don't think it had to do with the amount of taking somebody's time, though. It had to do with
I'm being silly.
It's
just not being. I
just want you to be successful.
Yeah, my poor dog.
Yeah, Radit, I'm impressed she didn't bite you.
Oh man. Okay. But I say on the next search, she went and found it, and she sat down and slammed her butt down, and then she went,
she did. It was really funny.
She nose punched us. Like, you're not doing this to me again.
Stupid lady.
Oh my gosh. I love her so much.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
So I think one of the other things I'd like people to think about is, I will set out hides and then I run my search strategy so that I know it's going to take my dogs longer to get to the area where they're going to run into odor.
Yeah.
I'm actually not searching it in the most efficient way possible, just because I need nose time on my dog.
Yeah, I've done that.
And because you have to, that's like a muscle you have to build, because otherwise they're like, I haven't found it in 10 seconds. So I'm going to tell you that
and
there's something
I tell
here.
people when they train, they need to have, what is the goal for this specific training?
Yeah.
Are you building, are you kind of training like how you would search it? Or are you giving the dog a chance to work it out on their own? Are you handling it like you would handle it blind? Are you like, what are the decisions that you're making for this particular setup? And and how you handle and what you do and where you start, and everything else is going to depend on what your goal is for that session.
Yeah. I mean, I think we do a really good job of that nose time is actually one thing that I put on. This is what I'm working on today.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
I know during our certifications, I was able to say, will you please let me know when half my time has expired?
Mm-hmm.
With nose work, how do you keep track of time?
I self-time. I have a watch, which, by the way, oh my gosh, I can't find it. I got to find it somewhere in my van. Oh, and people are saying, I've seen your van. It's in there somewhere. I got to find it. But I have a watch, and now that I've gotten older, I've got a watch with a bigger face and bigger numbers that does a countdown, and that way I can keep track. And so, because we only have so much time, and if we time out, that is, we lose either at the upper levels, we lose points if we time out.
So they actually punish you for not calling finish.
Oh yeah, they punish you hard.
Okay,
they punish you hard. Yeah, like you could lose a title hard at some level. Yeah. At the summit level, you could definitely lose it because it comes down to it's 2.5 points.
Right.
You could, earn or lose a title with Brava lost a title with 2.5 points in Michigan. We were just off by 2.5 points. It wasn't, we called finish everywhere. It was, but it would just happen to be, but that's the same value as timing out. So yeah.
So I think it was at distraction camp. Someone had said that their watch had made beeping noises or something.
Yeah. That can be an issue.
Do you have suggestions about maybe?
I mute it. I found out with Brava, I had it on beep, and I was actually at her last summit. And the first day I'm like, why are you like stopping and looking at me? Like, you don't search like that. Like, it would, all of a sudden she'd stop and stare at me, and I'm like, you got to keep searching. And she's like, I thought we're done. And I realized she's so smart, because the dogs don't learn what we think they're learning, right? They don't logic
no, they don't.
We think the way we think they're logicking, right? And she would hear the beeping, and she's like, oh, I guess the search is done. I'm like,
oh, so no. Somebody else was beeping. Or was it you?
My watch was beeping. So she had associated the end of the search with the beeping watch. So she would stop searching before I was ready for her to stop searching.
Grr.
I know. So on the second day, I put it on mute, and I didn't have the problem anymore.
You're like, wow, welcome to the next training issue that I have.
I know.
Right?
I was like, well, at that point, I'll just put it on mute. But I didn't even know that until I went back and watched my GoPro video that night. And I'm like, oh, look what she's doing. I was so happy I did that, because I put it on mute, and then, things were fine the next day. I was like,
that could be a good heads up for other people. Like if they're, trying to figure something out, that's something they can pay attention to now as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, someone had told me that story, and I couldn't remember what it was. So I'm glad. I just can't remember. Maybe it was when I was in California, you were telling me that story, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it stuck with me.
And people always ask me, like, when do you start it? So the way I do it, because the official timer, there's somebody there with a stopwatch, right, may not necessarily be the same, have the same reflexes as you do, right? So what I tend to do is before I even get to the search area, like even before I get to the start line, anywhere near it, I don't want the timer to think I'm crossing the start line and hit the button. At that point, I hit the button, then I kind of get my dog gathered, then I approach the start line, and then I release my dog. So I should have a few seconds cushion there, so that if I hear, a lot of times you'll hear the 30-second warning. They try to give it to you. They're not required to. If they miss it, they miss it, but they will do their best to give you the 30-second warning. So if I hear 30 seconds, I usually hear that and then do a quick comparison to the watch on my wrist, just so I know like the difference. But I go by, I can see the watch and I make sure I do not time out. Like that is, I feel like there's really no, there's no reason to ever time out with a search. You're allowed to self-time. So if you're there, that's just sad to lose points that way.
Yeah.
It makes you sad.
It does, because it's just like there's no.
You can call finish with 2 seconds left, and you didn't time out.
You can call finish. I've seen where people are like, "Whoa!" Like they had like a half a second left. Like really, I mean,
that works. So it's interesting how and then you flip to the other side of it, and deployments for us.
Yeah.
Right. There is no time limit.
Right.
You're out there until you call the area done.
Yeah.
And so you could be everywhere from, I've been in places where I'm like, oh my gosh, if I was thoroughly going to search this area, I would be here for 3 days.
Wow.
And so then it depends on the type of, how you're using your dog. So for us, an operational period is supposed to be 8 hours.
Okay.
Does that mean that I'm going to be out searching for that entire 8 hours? Oh my God, no. But and typically a lot they'll do like 20 minutes on, 40 minutes off.
Okay, I was gonna say, how do they rotate that out?
For some of the like explosives and dogs like that? When we're doing some of the explosives work, it's 20 minutes on, 40 minutes off. Or, I would do a pass through the local amusement park, which was typically a half an hour pass. And then the dog would get a break. And so I started rotating dogs.
Gotcha.
When you have a lot of dogs, you do that. And so it turned out that each dog would get like a half an hour worth of work, and then they'd get like a 45-minute break.
Gotcha.
And so, but with the search dogs, some of our tests, like our type 1 area search dog test is 160 acres, 2 subjects. You have 4 hours. And that's
a lot of space to cover.
Right. And then if you go west to the crazy people out west, they're doing 300 acres.
Oh my gosh.
Right. They're doing 300 acres in 4 hours. So their dogs really have to range. They have to, their map and compass skills are phenomenal. I'm like, I like searching in Iowa because if you walk a little ways, you're going to hit a road. But so
that's not even half your farm though.
No, it's not. So we could we could handle some of that on the farm, but it's
be kind of fun.
My niece, that's a word. That's what I would use. I'm like, my niece can't handle that anymore. Yeah. So, there's the difference between certifications, training, and, we have to train like we're going to fight. So there are some times where, no, I just need to go out and I need to do once in every great while, because that's how we end up searching. I need to go out and do a 45-minute blank search. Yeah. There's nothing there.
Yep.
Or I do a 45-minute search, and then at the end, he happens to run into a large thing, or 22 minutes into a search with one of the narcotics or explosives dogs, then they run into their thing, so that the odor becomes reinforcement for the whole entire chain of searching.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's the point is not to run your dog into the ground.
Correct. I mean, that's not good training.
Yeah, because you don't want to get the dog like, oh, we're gonna go out and do nose time, and now the dog is like, I don't ever think I want to search again.
Right.
That wasn't fun.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
I know with building nose time too, I still go back to, I mean, usually about once a week, I'm placing the toy out, they go out, they find the toy, and then I have them on their sit stay, and I use some competition too. It's usually Radish and Yukon together, and it's a big, tall field at home, and I go out and I look like I put it out there, but I don't. And then I come back and, I send them to go find it. And, about 8 to 10 minutes in, that's usually when I kind of like just toss it and they don't see it, so then they happen back across a place they've searched several times, but then they happen across it. And so it just gives me that kind of competition between the two of them. And it keeps them very like go, go, go and on task. And it's just for finding the ball. But I believe that nose time and that conditioning is still just as valuable. And I don't have to have the odor every time.
I totally agree with you. And I've done that a little bit with Flash, just to build up that desire for hunting. So in our world, one of the selection tests typically that's done is, will the dog continue to hunt for their toy for 5 minutes in an unknown environment without looking to the handler for help or giving up?
Yep.
And so, people are like, well, they should naturally come with that. My 5-month-old or my, 8-week-old puppy is not going to naturally do that for 5 minutes.
No.
And so it's one of those, for me, it's
drive doesn't even really kick in until later anyway.
Right. Oh, well, let's talk about drive. I mean, little Flash right now is like, hold my beer. I'm like, okay.
Too young, little one. Too young.
I know. So we have to build those things.
Yeah.
And the I'm going to fake throw a toy into tall grass. You have to also build up to when I throw something, yes, it's out there. Go hunt.
The expectation is it's going to be there. Otherwise, they're going to be like, I've played that game before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's behind your back, you dummy.
Yeah. And it's something we've built. I mean, that's
right.
We just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with nose work, what I find with although our search times are a lot shorter, the intensity level that they have to have is actually very high. So the energy expenditure, I kind of think of it like sprinting versus like long distance running. There's a lot of sprinting. Yeah,
you guys have a lot of sprinting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of sprinting. Like I said, that 2.5-minute search, and that was a sprint, right?
What's the longest search you've done in nose work?
Competition?
Yeah.
In competition, 8 minutes.
Okay.
8 minutes. But it can be a kind of a big area for 8 minutes, and you have to make. And it comes down to it's the speed of cover and move on. That's what it is.
Sniff and dismiss. How fast can you
sniff and dismiss? Exactly. Right. Because a lot of it, people are always asking me, well, how do I make my dog faster? I'm like, you don't.
Right.
you don't. I mean, your dog's decision making might get a little bit faster, but your dog's legs aren't going to move. And honestly, the really fast dogs actually are almost at a disadvantage in a lot of cases. So Powder's problem solving had to catch up with her legs. And
yes,
that was actually a really tough position to be in. It's great now because now it's caught up, and I'm like, woo, you are like unstoppable. But it up until then, I'm like, oh man, we were like a train wreck here. So, speed. I always say speed kills. You got to be careful there. But a lot of the pressure there is, can the handler make the decision to move on? I've told a lot of students where they're not time boxing their training, and I'm like, you're hanging out longer in an area that and you're kind of building that into your search pattern, that now the dog just kind of hangs out in the area. Like you've got to have that, be able to make that decision to move on, and that is where that time pressure comes in. It's, can you observe your dog, say, my dog is not productively in odor. They may have indications of odor, but it's not productive odor behavior, right? If my dog is not productively working odor, move on. And that is the time pressure. Can you make that decision and move through a big area? Say, is my dog, productively working odor, and move on and make their decisions? That's where the time pressure is.
So when you were here and you were working the larger areas with, like 20 and 30-minute, searches, what do you think that was building for your dogs?
Well, for them, it was working odor. I enjoyed those searches because it was a different picture than my dogs get to see naturally. So honestly, for the longer search times, I've got dogs that like to do that kind of stuff, and they've got that kind of energy, and I'm like, cool, we're going to be tired. And I think also pushing them and stretching the envelope on how long they will search and their commitment to working and pushing their fitness a little bit when it comes to the shorter search times, I think that can only benefit them. So I kind of see it as it's kind of like that whole like interval training type of deal, where if you want to be able to get, I want to be able to get that really good. Maybe that's not a good, because I don't really understand that aspect really of it, but I'm kind of like picturing it like if I picture like a sphere of what I'm trying to achieve. If my dog's capability is bigger than that sphere, then they can tap into other capabilities that are just going to make them stronger.
Well, and it's a little bit like overtraining, right?
Yes, it's overtraining. That's a better way of saying it.
And so, I think about the duck dog stuff that I'm doing is, okay, if I'm doing hunt tests, the maximum limit for a mark is like 125 yards.
Yep.
But if we train at 175,
then 125
is easy.
Yeah.
And with what your girls were doing, and this is one of those things that I've realized through the years as I'm training up their narcotics and explosives dogs. I actually teach my explosives and narcotics dogs all the way out to work like a cadaver dog, because that if they will independently search and they will independently do their train final response a long ways away from me, after we have worked so much time with them close to me, it definitely makes, it's one way for me to make sure that the pictures and the contingency plans or contingencies, the dog absolutely understands its job.
Yeah. It's another layer of fluency.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, for my dogs, like the scent pictures when you're working out in the fields in Iowa are very different than what we see in a trial situation, because it's a different environment.
Right.
But if my dogs can learn that scent picture, then they have a better understanding of airflow.
They have more tools in their toolbox.
They have more tools in their toolbox. Exactly. I mean, they may not have to search coming out of a ravine, but you know what? They'll have a better understanding of airflow. So that's why I wanted to do it,
And I think that it's really important for us to understand that as we're setting up hides and things of that nature, we should really be looking at it as, how am I putting more tools in my dog's toolbox so they can more efficiently and effectively solve a problem.
And then that gets back to the time,
yes.
Because it's not, you can't, people say, how am I going to speed up my dog? You can't.
Typically, you get the whole, well, they need to be more motivated, then they'll work faster. Yeah.
So here's something that I find fascinating is I would say that both of you have very fast, very efficient dogs. Would you say that that's an accurate statement?
If we're talking about Nico, yes.
Current, and talking about current dogs.
Yeah,
my Labradors, dogs. Yes, I would say my Labradors. I want to qualify that and say 3 out of 4 of my dogs, I would say yes.
Okay, and then Robin, what would you say?
I would say that right now, Nico is my fastest dog. My other dogs have purposefully been taught to be a little bit more methodical because of the type of searching that they do.
So you would not call them fast?
I would call them effective. My version of fat, although, okay, let's be honest.
Let's get rid of effective and all of that. We don't know if they're just the speed at which they go out. Would you say it's slow?
Oh, yeah, they're fast. No, they're fast.
Okay, thank you.
They're fast.
Okay, so all of your dogs are fast. Doesn't matter. I'm not looking at effective, efficient, just fast.
Yeah, they're fast.
And then what would you say about why?
I would say he solves problems actually way more quickly than I expect. He's gotten faster.
Okay.
At his problem solving.
So moving through the space.
Physically, he has no issues.
So is he middle of the road speed, do you think?
Ideally, I'm not running through a search area regardless, so it's not going to matter.
Okay.
Because if you run through a search area, you're going to run through scent cones.
And that's where I find it interesting as to which dogs and the speed with which they work, which ones are most effective for which areas, so for which disciplines. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting having some conversations at Distraction Camp too about some of the people that were saying, I would rather have my medium drive, medium arousal dog.
Oh, absolutely.
Who goes very just steadfast, efficient, just kind of goes through the space. Yeah. But would not get all the areas as fast as the fast dog, but the fast dog missed some things potentially, or had to work it out, and they had to work it in a different way. And it's something I've had to come to terms with because, my dog.
I call them kids. They're my kiddos. I call them my kiddos.
My root vegetable. She's, medium of both. She's not super fast. And I have to bring her up sometimes, and sometimes I have to bring her down. And so it's been interesting kind of myself watching you guys work your dogs and seeing how fast they are. And then also, I think there's been a couple of times that I got to see Nico work something and Rad worked it differently, but almost as fast, which really surprised me because she ran it first on one of them. And I was like, wow, that was the struggle bus. But it took Nico about the same amount of time. And that blew me away. So it's really been fascinating watching the different kind of speeds of the dog and seeing how the efficiency of how they work can also vary. I don't know where I'm going with that, but just it goes with the whole time thing, I think.
Yeah, I know. Like sometimes Y finds stuff and finishes the search faster than. I mean, he's got ribbons. He has placement ribbons. I mean, I have a 12-year-old short. Right, he's a miniature Aussie. People hate it, he's a mini Aussie. I don't know, it's miniature American Shepherd. Right, he's a 12-year-old small dog. He has placement ribbons based off of time. I mean, we had one search. We knew how many hides there were, and he got a second place out of 30 dogs. But you don't look at him and go, oh, that's a fast dog. I think people start to label their dogs. They see a dog that's like, I think people try to say high drive equals fast.
And that's not necessarily true.
Not necessarily true. Because it's like, what are you saying is fast? Yeah, I have 3 high drive dogs. They are motivated. They have hide commitment and they can problem solve.
So really, problem solving is probably the way to be the most efficient with your time, no matter how fast your dog is. It's about teaching them to make those decisions and teach them the scent theory as efficiently as possible.
Exactly. Yes. And if you have a dog that's not going to have so much natural momentum behind them that they will run past things, then their problem solving, they're going to find everything. They're going to find more stuff and they could actually find more hides and actually do better. And so people are always looking for something that looks a little sexier, which I think is kind of the dog that has a lot of momentum behind them.
Yeah.
But the more effective dog, the dog that actually does better, might be the dog with less momentum behind them.
Yeah.
Which is really, and honestly, when the dogs that do have the momentum can figure it out and they can start to put the pieces together, it's pretty cool. I'll have to say that it is super cool, but it is a lot of work and it's a lot to maintain. And it's really hard to get to the point to make it look easy.
Do you think the faster dogs are harder to maintain their accuracy than the more methodical, slower dogs?
Absolutely.
And why do you think that is?
I have to work so hard to get Powder to say, hey, you got to find one hide and start thinking about finding another one in close proximity. It was so hard to get her to get from, I am so excited to be at a trial. Woo, we found a hide. Let's go find another. Woo! Off we go. Meanwhile, we're passing to others. That is the hardest thing in trying to trial her. She's an amazing dog, but because she is got a lot of momentum behind her, we end up recovering and we do really well. But it's one of those things where I have to constantly train her expectation to find another hide close by. Otherwise, she's going to find a hide and she's going to take off on me because she loves to move. And it's hard. It is hard. And you also, the faster moving dog is, you have to, here's the other part of it. And I tell people, if you're going to have a fast moving dog, you better have fast observation skills, because if you don't have fast observation skills, you're going to miss it. And it doesn't matter how fast your dog is, it's all going to be on you, right? I mean, I hate to say it is. You've got to have fast your observation skills have to be equal speed of your dog.
I guess I'm thinking about that too. Like if I get a twitchy mal, like a French line mal, it's very much they've already done 5 things by the time the person has clicked for the thing that they thought they were clicking for.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Your timing's off a little.
Yeah.
So I can see what you're saying there, because you have to be on point.
Yeah.
And it's not that you don't have to be on point for the slower dog too, though. So I can see both sides of it.
You have time to breathe with a dog that doesn't move you really do, because it's kind of like your dog, like a dog that moves very fast. They may have given you a ton of information, but if you aren't completely focused and you're not totally paying attention and have the ability and understanding of what they're saying, you're going to miss a lot of what's happening. And if you have a dog that ranges, that means that you could have missed a lot of information about potential hides that now their momentum has now carried them past. But if you have those observation skills and you're like, hey, I had a change of behavior over here, very small one, and we need to make sure that we recover that area. That's the hard part. And that's where it becomes easy to miss hides that way.
Well, and I think about what you're talking about. I actually had to specifically teach Nico a whole new way of starting so that he learned engage the nose, not the feet.
Yeah.
Because he was missing stuff, because he's like, run faster, I'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like if you're trying to do buried with him, right?
Yes. Yeah. Buried and detailed
like,
searches.
Whoa.
No, I must run fast. And so having that ability, that's why sometimes having, not quite a fur missile is a wonderful thing when you're doing detection work, because you also have to think about, you guys, your odors are a little bigger than this, but sometimes we're working on odors and if they pass over in a certain area and they're breathing out instead of breathing in, they may miss it.
And that happened this morning. That was interesting because we were doing systematic search on the wall, and it was right at the moment she got over the Watman paper. I think it was Bristol. And right when she got over that hole, she did a big exhale to clear out her nose. And Natalie and I both were like, oh, it was right there. And
for
just
us,
that moment.
Even though the odor is bigger, because our odors converge, and it's so complex when they do converge, you have to be able to see the minor differences in how the dog's working odor to see that's a different scent cone. My dog just gave me odor behavior that is inconsistent with the odor behavior of the scent cone that they're working. I now know I have a second scent cone. And when you have a fast moving dog, it's hard to tell that difference. So that's where having some of that speed can be very difficult, because the slower moving dog, it's easier to parse that apart. And it's easier to say, because you have a chance to breathe and to think, right? It's easier to say, oh, I've got multiple scent cones going here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So breed wise, what breed do you think is best for keeping time? I was thinking maybe like a watchdog. Would that be?
Oh my God.
I think a watchdog is
Really?
ideal. Yeah, that's really bad. Hello, dad joke.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
told you one was coming. So
I know. Well, I met your dad. I can. Yeah.
That nut didn't fall far from the tree and
No,
hit
it
every
did
branch on
not.
the way
It did
down.
not.
Emphasis on the word nut. Yeah, loved him, by the way.
I was called wingnut for a while, so
there you go.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
But a bump.
Oh.
God.
So, what do you think takeaways?
My takeaway is don't really think about time. Time is an outcome of good training, meeting time, and think about it's not about a fast dog. If you focus on good training and you focus on effectiveness, your dog's going to be fine. And then it just comes down to just handler strategy from competition perspective, but it's focus on the training.
Yeah. My takeaways tend to be, as usual, think about building skills and tools in the toolboxes. And the whole concept of slow is smooth, smooth is fast is one of those really important things that, especially with our line handling skills and some of those other things, people are like, well, we'll just figure it out. Take the time to learn them and to always realize that fast is not necessarily the bestest thing. That actually was good grammar, but whatever. It's and enjoy the time that we get in a hurry a lot of the times. I mean, I was really excited because I trained 5 dogs today in 2.5 hours. And that was 4 dogs on detection work and 1 dog on hunt test work. And I was super excited that I got through all of that and fed the donkey. And I'm just like, okay, so I got through all of that this morning. How did I actually get that done? And it was because I had 4 dogs appropriately staged in the car. I had somebody helping me move bricks in and out, and I could rotate things through really fast. I could be really efficient. But I also got to get some really nice quality training in, and it was lovely for everybody. Now it's going to be 105 degrees for the next 7 days. So we're not going to do that.
We don't say those things. Let's be in the moment. Let's be in the now. It's
by the time this airs, actually we'll be right in the middle of it when this airs. So please send cold drinks, preferably with alcohol in them. But it goes down to, I want my dogs to be very methodical and efficient. So definitely, that was a long takeaway. So I'm going to stop there.
Crystal.
I got stuck in the beginning when it was the thought about taking other people's time.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to try to be very aware of that. And I think something that's helped me with that is we tend to do objectives in the beginning of training, and like up here at the farm, we always say what we're going to work on, what our goal is. At home, we have a whiteboard and everybody sends in their training objectives through Messenger. And then Nancy writes it all down for us so that we know what we're planning to do. And so it holds us accountable. But I think also it sets the expectation for the amount of time that we're going to be taking. And I've been reflecting while we've been talking. And one of the reasons that I feel badly about time sometimes is that I have a more advanced dog in my sport. And in Mondio, it'll be a half-hour routine. Like they're out there for that amount of time. And so it's not that every training session with my club needs to take that amount of time, but you have to build them with that. And you can't do the things on your own. It's a team sport. And some of the beginning dogs, they shouldn't be out there more than 2 minutes because they're learning. And so we're trying to set the expectations of you come in, you work hard, you go out. And so I think there's like a past too of different teammates in the past that felt, hurt about not having as much time on the field. And so just making me think that I want to be really clear with the people that I train with. And that way I don't let any old feelings creep in to my new groups, my new club. And I'm going to say new club because we've got a lot of new people, and it's such a wonderful place to be. And I'm so glad to be home. Well, actually, I'm in Iowa right now, but just for the weekend.
Right. Then you're going home. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm back home again. But I think being aware of the amount of time that you're going to take, if that's something that you feel pressure about, recognizing that you feel that pressure, and then communicating that with the people you train with, to take that pressure away from yourself, and it will make you better at your performance and getting what you need from the people you're training with. I think that's my takeaway, which is I would never expected that as my takeaway from the day. I thought it'd be something about
takeaway.
Certifications and time with the dog, but really that's what hit me.
I think that's an important takeaway. Well, and on my other takeaway, and I'll just push this for people, don't push your dogs.
Yep.
Sometimes it just takes time and maturity for the dog to be able to get where you need it to go. And we always seem to get in a hurry to either compete or certify or whatever else.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need some time.
Well, and also with training behaviors, like right now, I'm getting frustrated because I think that they should pick up words faster. And so, I'm rushing it in that way, where I just need to just chill out a second. We're getting there. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, right. And you got to put in the reps and sit in the seat. Yeah. And it's fine. So, Stacy, don't you have like a webinar or something coming up?
I do. I have one this week. Thursday, with Fenzi Dog Sports Academy. It's going to be Thursday. It's at 6 p.m. Pacific.
It's Thursday the 7th, correct?
Exactly. That's correct. And it's called That Was Easy, Taking the Difficulty Out of Container Distractions. And I get into, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be about breaking out distractions into both discrimination and impulse control, and how you can train it, and really how you can overtrain. So I get into the whole concept of overtraining and how you can do that to really make your container distraction game bulletproof. So
it sounds like the people that were sad about Distraction Camp, that they missed it, that this should definitely tune into that one.
I think that this would help, and it might give them cheat sheet versions for next year's Distraction Camp.
Definitely do that. And there may be a video in there from Distraction Camp of Powder doing some overtraining to those distractions.
Very nice. All right. So the link to register that will be in the show notes. So check that out. And it's really nice here in Iowa. So just like you guys, we're going to go train.
Canine Detection Collaborative. We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to K9DetectionCollaborative.com. That's K9DetectionCollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.